Now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of what Indians are all about.
I still say we Indian people are believers in the truth. This is the way of life that was given to your people. You're born an Indian, you're going to die an Indian. Indianness is a good life. You're facing an Indian this afternoon.
Good Saturday afternoon out there, everyone, and welcome to your number one source for Native American television news, Native News Today. I'm your host, Jason Salzman. I want to welcome you in this Saturday as we get ready for a more normal episode of our television program. A lot of you out there have watched us from the beginning, have watched us over the years, and probably threw a loop for you there these last few weeks having the candidate profiles on, but we have had the election this past weekend, and now we get back to a little more packaged stories here on Native News Today. So we're excited to be back and providing you that kind of show, but we do also recognize the need for those candidate profiles, and they are still available on the online channel. You want to go check those out, and we'll be having debates coming up soon now that we've brought down all of these races. A couple of them have already been decided, but for the races that have went to runoff, we'll be having debates dealing with those candidates, and that will be aired as well. So I know you're going to be excited to check that out. But lots of great things to bring you on the show this week. We're going to talk with a young lady, a 22-year-old Muskogee Creek citizen that has authored a children's book along with her grandma. We'll talk with her a little bit about the book. Also, we have a look at a recent event put on by the Muskogee Loan Fund, a spending frenzy, as they had high school youth come and basically take them through the process of having a year's worth of money and what can take away from it and what you have to do. A great little training program there. We'll have a look back at the unofficial results from the election as we take a look at that, the numbers that came in and what happened there. And we want to certainly thank you if you joined our live stream as well. So we have just a little bit of everything on the show this week. Can't wait to bring that to you. Plus a look back at the Muskogee Navy, the guys that went down and helped out with Hurricane Harvey. All that and more. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be right back with Native News Today.
I was having a real hard time and a lot of stress in my family. I felt like I didn't want to live anymore, like I couldn't take it anymore. I went to a psychiatric hospital for a few days, gathered my thoughts, and got some medication for my depression and anxiety. I started going to behavioral health for counseling, learned better ways to communicate and talk to my family, and healthy ways to cope with my feelings. If I hadn't got any help, I might not be here now.
I know when you know someone who is struggling that they may think there is no one to listen. I lost my son, Tyler, to suicide. Don't wait to ask the question. Be direct. Ask your loved one, are you thinking of taking your life? Ask before it's too late.
And welcome back to the show as we get started this week with the only place that we could start regarding the news here at Muskogee Creek Nation, and that is with the unofficial election results this past Saturday. And it was great to see everybody out posting their I voted stickers, everything like that. A good turnout, and it's nice to see that a lot of people really involved with this year's election. And we could tell that from, a first ever happening here at the Muskogee Creek Nation was Muskogee Media having the live stream. We want to thank all the folks out there that joined us watching the live stream, keeping up with the real-time results and news as it came in, and we had people over at the election office and everything. So it's a wonderful, well-rounded coverage for the first time ever, like I said, here at Muskogee Creek Nation, and to not only be a part of producing that here at Muskogee Media, but to see the people get involved as well is wonderful. And right now we have a small package put together for you by Jared Moore, and it's talking about the unofficial election results from this past week.
Saturday, September 16th, was the Muskogee Creek Nation National Council Seat B primary election. Let's take a look at the results of Saturday's contest and what we can expect moving into the general election on November 4th. These results are unofficial. Muskogee Media will report the official results as soon as they are made available by the MCN Election Board. McIntosh District saw Adam Jones III retaining his council seat. Muskogee District incumbent Representative Joyce Deere retained her seat by a large margin of 50.88% of the vote. In Okfuskee District, Franklin Coachman heads into the general election showdown with Travis Scott. In the capital seat of Okmulgee, James Jennings and Carmen Tecumseh Williams move on to the general election. Tuckabutchee District will see Thomasine Yahola Osborne face off against Edwin Marshall November 4th. Tulsa District incumbent Representative Lucian Tiger III will face Shara Giles in the general election runoff. The Wagner County contest saw incumbent Mark Randolph defeat Timothy Jackson Jr. with over 60% of the vote. Creek District saw a very close race that resulted in George Tiger and Patrick Freeman Jr. progressing on to the November 4th contest. Incumbent Dodie Barnett from Creek District chose not to run for re-election, and Muskogee Media was afforded an interview with Representative Barnett about her decision and advice to future council reps.
So being on the council these past 5.5 years, to me, it has meant service, giving back, and being involved, being able to attempt to fix all of the things that we saw that needed fixing coming in. And some of those things have been successful and some of them not so much, but that's okay. When you're elected, I think in my brain coming in, I thought that there would be this orientation or a preparing when you get here, and there's really not right now. And I know that that's varied in the past. A lot of it is specialized, it's taste, some of it is, up to the speaker. We don't have any set orientation policies, or we don't have any set policies or directives that help you those first few days. So the way the process works is you get elected, but you're not actually officially elected until after the election results are certified. So you're in limbo there for about a week. You're just in a holding pattern. There's nothing to do. There's no forward movement there for a few days. Once the election results have been certified, there's no challenges. Everything is a go. At that point, you come in and you talk to HR about your benefits, you meet the staff, and one of the things that was most challenging in the beginning was just knowing where to go to do what. So who has what responsibilities and what committee you're going to be on. You won't know that until after the inauguration. And so at the beginning, it's just getting all of your materials, ordering your equipment, getting your books, and getting prepared mentally. I would advise or just recommend for any of the new council people coming in that you familiarize yourself with the policies and procedures and any law that you can, because we're legislators, we follow the law, we write law, and so if we don't know the law, then we are at a disadvantage coming in. Misconceptions about council representatives and our roles and responsibilities. So I think the biggest one is that people think that we handle day-to-day operations. So for example, if you get turned down at social services, a lot of people will call us. And I have absolutely no qualms. I am happy to advocate or assist in those instances. But whenever it comes to working with the departments themselves, the departments have privacy policies that they have to follow, especially on the healthcare side. People will call you in trying to navigate the healthcare system. And I will say, after Mr. Terry came in, my calls greatly reduced regarding healthcare. I think that they're doing a much better job of being responsive and being on top of those situations. But people will call you and their privacy concerns, because we're not bound, we're not employees of the nation, so we don't have access. We can't go over and say, okay, here's your file and this is what we're going to do. And they, I think, sometimes expect us to come in and step in and tell those employees what to do. And we don't have that authority, nor should we. That actually falls under the administrative branch. Advice to upcoming representatives: get ready. You're in for a ride. So I think that you have to be very tough-skinned. No matter how tough-skinned you think you are, when you get here, it's a whole new ball game. Henry Ford once said, you can't make everybody happy, but you can sure make them mad all at the same time. Some days it'll feel like that. Some days it'll feel like the whole world's mad at you, and you just have to be convicted and know that what you're doing is right. And so always be prayerful and be responsive to the people and be open-minded. If someone comes and they tell you a story and it just sounds horrible and it makes you mad and it makes your blood boil, be sure and get the other side of that story before you go and try to advocate or take any actions, because there's always at least two sides to every story. And sometimes I think that once you get on council, most people on council that I've known, you have a big heart, you have a servant's heart, and you want to respond to those people. And we just have to be very careful and very diplomatic about the way we respond in any situation. So just always remember to talk to the frontline workers. So if you have a bill about education, talk to the educators, because just because we're making laws or passing these contracts doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing. The people, boots on the ground, that's where you want to be, because that's where you get the most response, and that's where you really see the whole situation and you get the most energy invested back into you too, because sometimes it's really easy to be insulated in the mound building and not know what's going on outside of the mound building. So just always being responsive and talking to people and just enjoying your time, and make sure your family's ready. They'll hear things about you that will make them very mad, but make sure that they've just got tough skin like you and say, you know what, don't worry about that. We know we're on the right track. I think the only thing that I would add is just that it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve my people, and it's just been amazing, the response and the love and support and just inspiration. Creek people are amazing, so keep being amazing. Widow.
And thanks again to Jared. And all of those unofficial election results are on the website, muskogemedia.com, as well as mcn-nsn.gov. As you can see there above my shoulder, it is time to talk about the Light Horse Police and the emergency response team sending down what I have dubbed the Muskogee Navy. We see Cajun Navy, Texas Navy, all this. Well, we sent down the Muskogee Navy to help out with Hurricane Harvey relief and rescue aid. And what a wonderful thing that it was to be able to see our Light Horse team and emergency response team both basically just stock up, get down there and get to helping, and to have the resources that we need at Muskogee Creek Nation to be able to help our neighbors, our friends in times of need. It's a wonderful thing. We talked with them before they left, but now this is sort of a recap. We spoke with James Nichols, the emergency management manager here at Creek Nation, about their trip and everything that they brought home from South Texas. So here's a final tally of what Hurricane Harvey produced. 50 plus inches of rain in less than a week. Approximately $75 billion in damages to the Texas coastal bend. And an estimated 30,000 people in need of temporary shelter. And one Muskogee Navy. The Muskogee Creek Nation Light Horse Police combined with the Emergency Management Department's first response team to send manpower, equipment, and rescue aid to the Houston area. The 11 volunteers departed on the morning of August 29th and returned home safely on September 3rd.
First thing I can say, it's very humbling to be in a situation like we were in, that there was so much devastation. The damage is it's catastrophic, and the pictures that we see on other news outlets and media and things, it doesn't do it justice until you're there firsthand looking and seeing what the hurricane actually did.
The MCN team coordinated with the Oklahoma Office of Emergency Management once they arrived and joined a large contingency of Oklahoma first responders and volunteers while awaiting their mission orders. MCN was one of 3 tribal units within the Oklahoma crew.
The people, number one, they were just so appreciative of us from Oklahoma being there, and then when they learned of tribal nations coming together and helping, they were even more impressed.
According to Lighthorse Police Chief Robert Hawkins, they took rescue boats, ATVs, and swift water rescue gear in addition to the manpower efforts.
We are fortunate to have equipment and resources that we can provide to other areas, not just within our tribal area here, but elsewhere. So there's a number, probably 600 plus Creek citizens that we have down in that area.
Nichols believes, though he and his team would rather not ever have to be dispatched to such areas under the circumstances, that it is inevitable in his line of work, and that each disaster that they assist with is not only an opportunity to help, but learn as well.
You always learn from things that you respond to, how you can do better, what maybe you shouldn't do. Between us and the Lighthorse Police Department, we learned a lot of things, a lot of good things that we're capable of doing, things that we didn't know that we could do, that we did. There's instances where we found that we could use some different type of equipment. There's not any one type of equipment that either Lighthorse or emergency management has that's going to fit every scenario, and that's the case with every agency that responded. You adapt and overcome. We learned as a group of men from Lighthorse and emergency management that we can come together, we can work together, and we can do the job that we need to. And are we ready to go out and do it again? Absolutely.
The Muskogee team was given its assignment each day, with the largest assignment being on Saturday, September 2nd. In 8 hours' time, the Oklahoma contingency covered over 15 square miles and provided assistance to over 4,200 homes door to door. And the Muskogee team is ready to go back if called upon.
There's going to be a recovery period that's going to last forever. They're saying from when we left on Sunday that people are going to have water in their homes for up to 2 weeks before it actually starts receding. So there might be a call to go back down and help with recovery. Don't know that for sure. It's going to depend on lots of other factors as far as the next hurricane that they're talking about coming in and those types of things. But we're ready to go and help. I want to add that there was not one single person that our agency, as far as Lighthorse and emergency management, came across that was not just ecstatic that we were there. We went down there and we took care of Texas as far as a group and as far as our tribal nation, and we would be happy to go back down there and help if they called us again.
Well, next up, we have a really neat event put on by the Muskogee Nation Loan Fund dealing with youth and financial literacy. A few months ago, we talked with Elijah McIntosh. He is the Secretary of the Nation and Commerce here at the Tribe about Chief Floyd, the administration wanting to focus on financial literacy, having as many trainings as they can. That went hand in hand with the Muskogee Creek Nation entering into an agreement with the Tinker Federal Credit Union, and now as they continue, they have a new grant that they were wanting to roll out, a wonderful program called the Spending Frenzy. Now what this is he'll explain it to you a little bit in the story, but it was basically a training for youth to come up to the Eufaula dormitory and just learn a little bit about financing and how to manage money on a yearly budget, and it's a wonderful thing, wonderful opportunity for a lot of these bright young Muskogee Creek kids, and we were so fortunate to be able to be there to follow this story on it.
This is what we call the Spending Frenzy. We received a grant from the Oklahoma Native Assets Coalition and the Kellogg Foundation, and part of it was to do youth financial literacy. which is one of the missions of the Muskogee Loan Fund. And so we thought one of the best places to do it, we have a great resource in the dorm, the Eufaula dorm that Creek Nation helps with and partner with Eufaula Schools. So our target group was 12 to 15-year-old Native American students, and we wanted to teach them how to use money. The game itself is basically, it takes a year's worth of life decisions, and they start with an approximate annual salary. So they get a check each, all these students. They don't even know what a check is usually. They get a check, they learn how to endorse it, they go to a station that's the bank, they get cash, so $50,000 of play cash. And then immediately, the first place they go after that, they have to go over to the IRS tax booth, and they see what taxes do to us at an annual income to help pay for things like schools and roads and other things. And so now instead of $50,000, they've got like $37,500 to work with, and they've got to figure out, where am I going to live? What am I going to eat? How am I going to get there? I got to get insurance. I got to help. I want to go shopping. I've never had any cash. I got $37,000, and they're making those kind of decisions as they go around during the game, which are life-type decisions people would make. All the decisions are annualized. So what it means is they're paying for a year's worth of food. They're paying for a year's worth of rent. They're paying for a year's worth of car payments. So they can see how that 1 year's income gets narrowed down, but the math is simple. And they go through those different stages. Also roaming around, life gets in the way. Bad things happen, good things happen. So grandma might give us $500, or we might have a car wreck and have to pay money. There's someone running around giving fake cards, these random things. And we're rewarding the students based on how well they understand the process, as well as some of those students that save money or invest money. We're giving some prizes out. So all of them got the today off school, all of them got pizza, all of them are going to get some door prizes, and a few are going to get some performance rewards, but the main point of it is they learn and think and feel what it's like to have money, and then how quickly it can go.
We hope to establish a strong foundation for financial literacy among our youth, and to keep them, for one thing, if we can keep them from making mistakes when they're young, it can give them a great start forward over what a lot of people run into. And then also we can set a foundation for them to understanding expenses and the importance of saving and managing their money within their budget.
Well, this is a great opportunity for our kids to get the chance to spend money, even though it's not real. Kids know so little about how to actually budget their money and take care of their money once they get it. You know, they all want to go out and buy the fancy car, and they figure out really quick, if I buy that car, I'm going to have to live in it because I'm not going to have enough money to buy the necessities that I need.
The Muskogee Loan Fund, in essence, we are a small business lender. We're a Native American community development financial institution. That's a unique status under the Department of the Treasury with the U.S. government. So our focus, on one hand, is small business. Someone has an idea, they need to develop a business plan, they need to get it incorporated. We help coach them on what to do. We help fund good business plans, and up to a certain limit. But that's not the limit of where we go. We also realize people all ages need to know how to handle credit properly, so credit counseling, and people don't understand what the words and money and how things work, so that's why financial literacy is necessary.
Our final feature of the week takes us right up the road to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. A young lady that's only 22 years of age, but she has co-authored and released on Amazon, as you can see here, a children's book. Now, what's interesting about this children's book is this young lady, Kaylee Morrison, wanted to sort of put out Creek heritage, and being a Muskogee Creek citizen, wanted to put out an image of Creek heritage in her book, wanted to incorporate not only storytelling and some of our history and culture, but also the language. And one of the neat things is Joshua and the Biggest Fish, they went to cultural preservation and talked about fish kills and everything like that. So they incorporated that into this unique story, and it's an original story from not only Kaylee, but her grandmother helped her with this book, and she's a co-author as well. So they're very excited, and recently they even went to the chief's office and presented a copy to the principal chief. And afterwards, we were able to visit with her for a few short minutes about releasing this book.
So the book, it's called Joshua and the Biggest Fish, and we started writing it when I was 16. I'm 22 now. So it's been a long process, and it's kind of surreal to finally have it out. And the book is a coming-of-age story with Joshua, and he's being called Chobani in the beginning of the book, and which is a little boy. It's kind of an umbrella term for little boy in the Creek heritage. And he wants to become a man, and by the end of the book, he discovers that by catching the biggest fish, that he can, kind of be thought of as more of a man than Chobani. My grandmother and I wanted to do a project together with the heritage, and we went to cultural preservation and talked to Buddy Cox, and he was the one that mentioned fish kills, and it sparked our interest, and we just did more research on it, and the more we found out, the more interesting it was. And then we also found some photographs from the Oklahoma Historical Society of an actual fish kill, which is in the back of the book, and that kind of really brought it to life and let us have a basis of the story. Since it's a children's book, they had to be somewhat simple, kind of one-word type things. So as we were writing the story, we just kind of picked words, and we did a bunch of research on the pronunciations and all that. So some words are there's different pronunciations, and so we had to find certain words that weren't too hard to pronounce and that weren't too complicated. So that's kind of the basis of picking the words.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us this week. That's going to wrap up this week's episode, and we want to thank you for, as I said, getting through a little bit different format than we've had in the past these last few weeks, but we felt it definitely important to not only give our citizens out there, our Creek citizens, a chance to know their candidates and know their platforms, but also just being a part of the process and making everything more accessible with information in our democratic process. So we felt it very important to do that, and now this week getting back into more of our stories, our features, our packages that we produce here on the show. I want to thank you for hanging with us, and a lot of great people out there continue to talk to us about the job we're doing, and I love the show. We're getting fans each and every day. We're getting more and more people that are subscribing to our online channel. That's a wonderful resource for you folks out there that are in, like I said, our at-large citizens. Tell your friends about it. The folks that don't know maybe that the Creek Nation is producing this show each week for you, even if you're not in the viewing area. You can subscribe, hit the red button on our online channel, and you can be one of our newest subscribers, and it continues to grow every day. We're very happy with those numbers, and as well as we are with the people that are watching us on our network home here on the CW19. It's such a great privilege to be able to bring you this show every week. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up, and a general election, which of course will follow this primary election. You can continue to follow us on MuskogeeMedia.com for not only those unofficial results, but also the breaking news that is happening each and every day here around Muskogee Creek Nation. We've got it all covered for you, and we'll have it right here on Native News Today, as well as all of our outlets, so please stay with us for all of that coverage. I'm Jason Salzman. You all have a great week. You've been watching Native News Today.